Hey, welcome to today's video about success on the spectrum. I'm Dr. Christine Bradstreet, welcome. And I want to talk today about why is it so common that girls and women go undiagnosed or misdiagnosed with any of the conditions of the spectrum, ADD, ADHD, autism, sensory integration disorder. So why is it so common that women get passed over? And surprise, surprise, it has to do with bias, stereotypes, and lack of awareness. So hopefully with today's quick video, we can spread some more awareness, and maybe this will help you to find the next steps if you think that you might have ADD or autism, and maybe somebody will learn something that they can then use to help somebody on the spectrum. So let's get right down to it. But before I do that, please subscribe to the channel so that you won't miss when new videos drop. I drop once a week a video about success on the spectrum. Once a week I go live with a morning moving meditation. Once a week I post a new yoga video. And I quite often post a surprise video. It could be an interview, it could be mindset, it could be a meditation, you name it. But it's all geared to helping people live happier, healthier lives, physically, mentally, spiritually, especially us people that are on the spectrum. So here we go. Now that you've subscribed and hit the bell to get notifications without any further delay, why are women overlooked when it comes to diagnosing ADD, ADHD, and autism? Number one, bias in the diagnosis criteria. So most of the research has been done studying boys and men, particularly white boys and men. That means that in addition to women often being kind of falling through the cracks in this diagnosis process, also people of color, people of other cultures. So we've got a whole bunch of research on one portion of the population. And that's not just true for people on the spectrum, that's true for most medical research. So hopefully with time that's changing. Number two, stereotypes about ADD, ADHD, and autism. Stereotypically, people believe that these are conditions exclusive to boys and men. Well, they're not. These are just little subtle different ways that the brain is wired, that the brain develops, and it is most likely just as common in women and girls as it is in men and boys. Number three, the possibility of other side-by-side diagnoses or disorders. Girls or women with ADD, ADHD, or autism might also have anxiety or depression, and that can kind of muddy the waters when you're making the diagnosis. I know for a very long time, before I was officially diagnosed with ADD and with autism, for lack of a better word, I would describe my symptoms as anxiety because I would have very strong physical reactions to certain situations, but I didn't quite fit the picture of anxiety either. So, surprise, surprise, I didn't get diagnosed until well into midlife. Number four, possibly sexism. So, is it much easier to label a girl or a woman who is hypervigilant, jumpy, runs at a fast speed, or overly sensitive to stimulation? So much easier to label her as anxiety or neurotic, right, than a boy or a man. Again, I don't want to blame everything on sexism, but I gotta think that's part of the problem, and hopefully that's changing as well with time. And finally, lack of awareness. I mean, society, including doctors and the sort of people that make these diagnoses, just really aren't aware of the subtle symptoms of especially a high masking girl or woman with ADD, ADHD, or autism, and that's the category I fall into. I would go into my doctor and I would very logically and with my big grown-up words, and I'm a retired chiropractor, so I would speak medical speak to my medical doctor, describing my physical reactions. And it never has dawned on a single physician of mine that it's possible that it was the autism spectrum until finally I asked to be tested. And at that point, I had a pretty good idea that I fell on the spectrum. And sure enough, one visit to a clinical psychologist, and he's like, yep, the force is strong in you and your family. So welcome to the club. All right, my friends and family, you've learned a little bit today about why it's so common for girls and women to go undiagnosed or misdiagnosed. If you suspect that your daughter, but if it's a child, maybe you can seek the help that could help them with early intervention. Or if you have somebody who, and she's confided in you that she suspects that she has these things, you can encourage her to ask or even demand proper testing. So if you go to the doctor and you ask for testing and they kind of brush it off, you insist for that testing and don't take no for an answer. Okay, my loves, I will see you next week. Take care.